Hey guys, it's Mama 2 Wife 1 and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you guys so much for clicking, and I don't know if because you saw my lovely face or you saw the subject line. Either way, thank you guys so much for clicking on my video. As you can tell from the subject line, we're here to discuss all things Married at First Sight season 16. We're on episode 17. Now before I even get into the episode, let me say that traditionally these seasons will contain 16 weeks of actual footage. Normally they'll have other episodes sprinkled here and there where they're kind of talking to people who love the show, who are giving their predictions. Sometimes I'll have someone talking specifically about the matchmaking. Some people don't even include the matchmaking as one of the episodes. But regardless, whenever I say episode 1, 2, 3, whatever, I'm normally starting with the episode where we're meeting the actual people who are getting married. That's normally what I start with. So saying all that, again, normally we only go to about 16 episodes. We're on episode 17 today, and my sources tell me, and I'm really hoping they're wrong, but my sources tell me we have at least 3 more episodes to go, which would make this the longest season of Married at First Sight in history, I believe. And let me say it's not warranted. We do not need all these episodes. The episode last night was not that entertaining. It was pretty boring. The couples are still on this freaking getaway retreat in this mansion in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Nothing really came of it. I don't think there's a lot of growth for a lot of the couples. They had a couple cute moments here and there, but the retreat, I feel like, didn't really do a lot for the couples. It's like, okay, we're here and we're away and I still like you, or maybe I don't like you. Like, I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I don't know. It didn't really do anything, but we'll get into it. We'll still review and recap the whole episode as we always do. But before I continue, make sure that you like this video, share the video, subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell, and make sure you comment below on how bored you guys are also with this show at this point. So we're going to start with Kirsten and Shaq. Nothing happens with them this episode. I don't feel like they're in a better place or a worse place than when they originally went to this retreat. I feel like they're kind of still like talking. I don't understand their issue. I really don't. It's like they can't seem to ever agree on where they actually are in their relationship. She says we need to talk more and the communication issues are bothering me. He says the communication is getting better because we talk all the time. She doesn't think they talk enough. His issue, I know that he's not bringing up, is still the fact that he has not met her family. But I guess in her mind, I need to know more about you before you meet my family. But it's like, what else more do you need to know? It's really strange. And I can't quite pinpoint what their issue is. I know that over the past 16 weeks, we've seen a few things. We see that Kirsten is unfairly comparing Shaquille to her father. We've seen that she is immature in some ways. We've also seen that he's a little bit on the needier side, and neither of them are doing the best job of really articulating what they want. And it's just really strange. And like I said, they just never seem to be on the same page. And she did say something that she didn't want her marriage to feel like a struggle. And I will say this, obviously these are very different circumstances than you would typically get married to somebody. You're meeting them literally at the altar, and not only are you being introduced to the stranger, but you're getting married to them right away. You're having a honeymoon right away. You're moving in right away. All of it is very fast paced. And so there is going to be a struggle of just learning this person, learning how they like to communicate, learning how they feel loved, learning how, learning about yourself and how you feel loved and how you actually are in relationships. So there is a lot. This is a great, not great, but this is a big learning curve for all the couples. And even if they have been dating for years and years and years and then decide to get married, you're still going to be learning years down the line. That's just the way it is. And I do agree that marriage should necessarily be a struggle, but marriage is work. Whether you met the person that same day or not, you're still going to have to put some work in. I think that's pretty much what I said, that obviously they have a lot more obstacles in the traditional route, but most struggles can be overcome. And right now I don't have a sense that they have any major struggles that they need to overcome. It just seems like it's the communication thing, and that can definitely be fixed and improved upon. But that nothing really happened with them. They went out with Nicole and Chris, and they took like those old-timey photos where you have the gun and you have the explosives and you have the cowboy hats or you have the fringe, and it was cute, and they kissed in the photos. And I did comment to myself like, oh, they've come a long way, because the first few weeks where she wouldn't even kiss my man, and now they're kissing on camera like all the time. So it's like, okay, there's improvement there obviously, but I really don't know about them. I really feel like they are putting too much stock in really small things and really trying to make everything perfect before decision day. And obviously, A, nothing is perfect. And B, that's putting so much pressure on yourself and on your partner that you're going to drive each other crazy. But literally, that's all that happened. Like, nothing really happened with them at all. Like, and I was surprised that Nicole asked her, have you guys talked about what's going to happen after decision day? Have you guys talked about your future at all? And I did find it surprising that we are now, or at least the couples now, are about 7 to 8 days away from decision day. The only ones who have talked about post decision day is Nicole and Chris. I do think that's very interesting. That doesn't seem like anybody's having those kind of conversations. And I guess because everyone else's relationship is still very much on the fence, no one else has, exchanged the love words that Nicole and Chris have. And obviously they're the couple that have gotten the farthest in a lot of different ways. So I guess I kind of get it, but I do think that's kind of surprising that they haven't even talked about like, oh, so if we stay together, where do you want to live? And if this works out, what do you think our house will look like? Like, Shaq and Kirsten kind of sort of talked about it, but not really. But I just found that surprising. And Jasmine also brought a game with her, I think the last night that they were on the retreat, and it was like a card game with just a bunch of different questions. And one of the questions was, what is your favorite imperfection about me? She said her favorite imperfection about him is his listening and that he's improved upon it. And he said that his favorite imperfection of hers is that she processes things more and doesn't overthink or analyze as much as she used to. So it's like, okay, that's nice. That's sweet, I guess. Again, the episode was boring. There wasn't really a lot. That's really all that happened with Kirsten and Shaq. We're going to go to Nicole and Chris. Nicole is not a bad person. Chris is not a bad person. They are very boring to watch together on TV. I want them to work. And I really think that out of all the couples, they're the only ones who I confidently feel are going to say yes on decision day. They genuinely like each other. They genuinely love each other. I clearly see that. But they're really boring to watch. And Nicole, I can see is a little bit too much. But Chris, I feel like he takes everything very much in stride. I feel like he does speak up for himself when it gets to be a little too kind of kooky or crazy. But I think that they do mesh well together. And I like the fact that they have found each other. I don't know if I necessarily need to see them as much on my TV, though. Like, I feel like they're that couple that's kind of like, guys are kind of annoying me. Not because you're so sweet, but it's like the same issues kind of come up all the time. And it's like, I don't want to do this with you guys. But they played miniature golf. And we saw that she's very competitive. She's getting very discouraged and very annoyed because she wasn't winning. Again, it's miniature golf. It's whatever. But they asked the question in their little card, Jasmine's card game was, what do you like the least and the most about your partner? Which I do think is a good question. He said he likes the least that she's so hard on herself, but he likes the most how compassionate and caring she is. She says she likes the least that he puts everyone above himself, and she likes the most that he makes everyone feel comfortable and is genuine. And she had this conversation with him after the game when they were alone about how she doesn't want him to put himself on the back burner just to be there for her or to be there for other people. She's like, I want to encourage you. Like, I love that you want to spend all this time with me, but I want to encourage you to have guys time or even have alone time. Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to be like, I have to be included in everything. And I love that you want to include me in everything, but just because we're married doesn't mean we can't still have our own lives and do our own thing, which I think is a great, great piece of advice. And if any of you are recently married or thinking about getting married, understand that there is a big misconception that once you're married, all of your friends fall by the wayside. Now, I will say that there are some people who do that. Those are people who aren't doing it the right way. I'll just put it that way. Getting married definitely brings about some changes. It definitely requires adjustment. It requires you to kind of learn how to juggle things a little better. Definitely requires time management. But those relationships you had before you said I do, you need to continue to nurture those relationships. Just like you now have this new relationship with your spouse that you have to work on and nurture and, talk to and really kind of reveal yourself and all this other stuff. That is a process and you do have to work on that. You also have to work a little harder to maintain your friendships outside of your marriage. I have several close girlfriends and a close guy friend that I do my best to nurture those relationships. I can't always come out to everything. And it's not necessarily because I'm married, also because I got kids and all that other stuff. But we all got lives, right? But you make time for the things you want to make time for. My closest friends, I talk to them all at least once a week. And it may not be me coming out to see them, but the fact that we talk as often as we do, that means I'm still maintaining that friendship. I still understand what's going on with their lives, and we're still making that effort. I've had a close friend that moved to a completely different country with a completely different time zone. She was there for almost a decade, but I found out what that time difference was. She got a phone number with an American number attached to it, and we still talked at least twice a month, because you make those kind of choices and you make that kind of effort when that relationship is important to you. So don't let marriage get in the way of your friendships. Like, never do that. Obviously, in the first stages of marriage, like the honeymoon phase, everything is all about your spouse. And oh my gosh, I want to be with him or her all the time. And I get all that. But after the honeymoon phase is over, settle into real life again, because your spouse had a life before you. You had a life before them. Again, things are going to change, but that doesn't mean you have to let go of those friendships. Now, obviously, if those friends are not encouraging of your marriage or encouraging of your relationship, that's a whole nother story. But assuming that they are, make time for them as well. Never just push them aside just because you're all wifed up or husband up now. Like, never do that. Just want to put that as a little PSA. But that's pretty much everything that happened with Nicole and Chris. They didn't do much. They didn't do much. They dressed up in these really dumb dinosaur costumes to go to breakfast just because I just think it'd just be silly. And I'd love for you to be silly with me. And I love that Chris was like, I don't understand. What's the point? Why are we doing this? Like, okay, only because I love you, I'm doing this. I would never do this for anybody else. And, it was funny because they had an interview with him. The producers were interviewing him about the costumes. And he was like, no, this was stupid. I definitely did not want to do this. But, you do dumb things for the people that you love. But he could have been like, okay, I know you're silly. Haha. But this doesn't make any sense. And I'm perfectly fine, like, not doing this. And if it's okay with you, I just don't want to do this. Because it was really dumb and it didn't make any sense. And the fact that she even brought these stupid costumes on the trip was like, girl, what? But he went along with it, I guess. That's literally the most exciting thing that happens. They put on dinosaur costumes. Woo, whoop-de-doo. So we'll go to Jasmine and Eris now. So Eris, if you remember from last week's episode, he had to leave the trip to go on a work trip. I actually thought that meant he wasn't going to come back, but he came back at some point. And one thing I will say, a couple things. When they see each other, at least they greet each other with a nice hug. They're still not kissing at all. Not a kiss on the forehead, a kiss on the cheek, a little smooch on the nose or something. I don't quite understand that. I don't know if they just haven't moved past this point of him still not being attracted to her, I guess. And because of that, she's not necessarily making that effort because I'm sure she doesn't want to be rejected. But it's like, I'm sure Dr. Pepper told you guys to at least practice that. And I guess they just are like, well, just hug. But it's like, I hug my friends all the time. I don't see how this goes beyond friendship for you guys. Like, at this point, I don't see how either of them feel like a wife or a husband because there's literally nothing else there. And I'm not saying you got to tongue the chick down, but y'all smooched all the time when you first got married. So why can't you just go back to giving each other a peck? I don't quite get that. But the fact that that's all they're doing is like, that doesn't bode well for the future, at least in my eyes. I don't really see it. But we did see that while Eris was gone, and it seemed like he was only gone a night, but he was constantly checking in with Jasmine, updating her on what was going on, and his actions showed that he missed her. And even when he went back to the apartment at one point, and he was like, man, she's not here. The dog isn't here. It's just so quiet. And he's like really jokey about things, but she understood the underlying text that, oh, he actually missed me. That's interesting. So I like the fact that at least he realized like, oh, I missed her and I missed the dog and I missed this life that we've created, even though it was just for a night. That was kind of weird not having it. But it's one thing to miss it because it's part of your routine for the past few weeks. And it's another thing to miss it because you actually still want that. So we're not quite clear which thing it is. It could just be, oh, well, it's been this way for weeks. And I can't believe like after 7 weeks that I didn't hear the dog and I didn't see you. Like that was kind of weird. As opposed to, dag, I really want this every day. And I'm realizing being gone for a night that I do want this in my life. We don't know if that's the case or not. I'm going to assume it's not, honestly. But I did say that while he checked on her, I was like, that's a good sign. But is it good enough? I personally don't think so. And so one of the questions they had in their cards was, What is the hardest thing? What do you think is the hardest thing for your spouse? She said the hardest thing for him is that he waits for something to go wrong. And in doing that, he gets in his own way. I thought that was such an amazing observation because that could apply to more than just their relationship. And I thought that was a really interesting observation. And it definitely shows that she is paying attention to him. And he said the hardest thing is for her to speak up, which is what we've heard before. So it wasn't anything new or groundbreaking. But also they had a conversation at breakfast. This was the last breakfast of the day. And I was kind of confused. And guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like last week when they were still on the getaway, they had the conversation of, decision day is coming up. What do you need more from your spouse? I felt a sense of deja vu when they asked that again at breakfast. She said she wants him to continue creating a safe space for her and wants the intimacy to grow. I need to be specific. I would have been like, I want kisses. Even if we don't ever have sex. At the bare minimum, let me feel desired. Kiss me on the mouth every time you see me. That is what I want. I feel like Jasmine has an idea of what she wants, but again, and I said this before, she's not being very specific with her needs. I would specifically say, I want you to kiss me. We hug. That's great. That's a start. I want you to kiss me. I want you to initiate the kisses. I want you to kiss me on my mouth, kiss my shoulder, kiss my neck sometimes. Like, I want you to be all up under me at every opportune time because I need to feel desired. Be point blank like that. And she hasn't said that. And in that moment, I really wanted her to say that to him, or at least indicate something, because she just saying the intimacy to grow. I need specifics because he's already said there's not going to be any sex before decision day. Okay, whatever. But I need to hear more. I need to be specific with the kind of intimacy I'm looking for. So I was looking for her to say that, and she didn't. I was kind of disappointed about that. Also, my other note, Jasmine has an amazing body. All the couples went to this lumberjack thing that Kirsten and Shaq found, where they did stuff like sawing logs. And they did this thing. And I've seen my husband watch this on ESPN before. And I was like, why are you watching this? But they have this really tall log. And you have this strap that goes around the log. And you're basically climbing up the log. And it's like a race to see who can get to the top fastest. And when Jasmine was doing it, you could see the muscles in her arms and her back. Like, her body is freaking amazing. She don't have an ounce of fat on his body, but it looked amazing. I was like, Eris is freaking tripping. Jasmine looks gorgeous. And she even said it. She was like, I wish my man could be in and see me because my booty was looking good and the thing. I was like, I know that's right, girl. You better. I'm glad that all the stuff that Eris has said and him being detached, I'm glad that hasn't impacted her self-esteem at all. Because a lesser woman, that could have done a lot of damage to her. So I'm really glad that she's still holding on to the idea of being proud of who she is and proud of how she looks and all that stuff. But yeah, I had to say that, like, her body was like freaking phenomenal. Gina and Clint. I like Clint. Every episode I'm liking him more and more. I also want to try this man's food. Apparently he did like all the cooking for this getaway. And the last breakfast he made like the cinnamon toast flavored waffles or French toast or something. He made some peanut butter pancakes, some like chocolate peanut butter pancakes and some scrambled eggs and some bagels and lox. And I'm like, oh, like Clint makes all the food. I want to eat his food now. Like, I'm really curious to have his food. But outside of that, they are growing closer as friends, which is like, okay, that's nice. But there's a disconnect there. And I still feel what I said last week, that Clint is making more of an effort than Gina is. He's definitely going with her pace because he doesn't want to rush her into anything she's not ready for, which is fair and that is respectful. But she said, she made a comment to the other couples or to the other people that she's not feeling like a wife. I feel like if Clint got that green light from her that, hey, treat me like a wife, I think he would be, I'll say all over her. But at least even on the wedding day, they weren't necessarily attracted to each other when they first saw each other, but they immediately hugged and they kissed at the altar. And I think they kissed a couple times. So even just having that moment of kissing, of hugging more, of holding each other, of touching each other, I think if she gave Clint the actual green light, he would make that effort. He is very excited about the concept of their relationship and excited about the future possibilities of their relationship. However, neither of them have said that their mind has changed when it comes to attraction. And again, everybody likes what they like, and I understand that. But in getting to know each other and getting to like and respect each other, I would assume that at this point, some kind of attraction would have grown, and it doesn't seem like it has. And it's really disconcerting. It's really disappointing. And I just don't know how they're going to get past it, because it doesn't seem like they're even making the effort to get past that. At least on camera, I haven't seen that. They did share a sweet moment where she talked about one of her employees just quit through text. And Clint, I thought, gave the best advice. He was extremely understanding, very encouraging. He said to her, "You're a resilient person and you'll kill her regardless." I was like, okay, Clint. And I could tell she really appreciated how good of a listener he is and just how encouraging and supportive that he was in that moment. Because he could have been like, "Girl, we are here trying to work on our marriage. Don't bring this business stuff over here to me." But he immediately stopped what he was doing and talked to her. And I really liked it. I thought it was a very sweet moment. But it's like, I don't think it's enough at this point. I really don't. I don't really see them getting closer to each other, not in that way, not in the limited amount of time they have. And Nicole keeps saying, "Oh, there's plenty of time." There's not really. I mean, technically you get married to be married for the rest of your life. But in terms of this experiment, you guys have about 7-8 days, maybe. And that's not a lot of time to build on things that you should have been building on weeks ago. So I think Gina and Clint, again, are going to leave this as actually good friends. I think they do have mutual respect for each other. I think they mutually like each other a lot as people, but there is no passion there. There is no chemistry there, really. And from what I've read in some of these comments that y'all have posted, I don't see chemistry for none of these couples. And I don't know if I do either personally. I think Nicole and Chris are the only ones where I'm like, definitely, they're good. They're going to be straight. I think on paper, a lot of these couples actually make sense, but I don't know if they're willing to do what it takes to actually make the relationship work. So that's kind of where we stand now. Like I said, I think there's 3 more episodes left. I know that they're going to have a last ditch effort where they do a last dinner and a last outing or something before decision day. And then of course they're going to talk to their loved ones to get their opinion before decision day. And then I guess it'll be decision day. I'm assuming that's going to be how the last 3 episodes are done. And I'm hoping and praying that it really is just 3 episodes left, because if so, this is just going too far. But thank you guys so much for tuning into my video. Remember to like this video, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, and make sure you comment below. Tell me what you guys thought about last night's episode. What do you guys think about these couples? Are you tired of these couples like I'm tired of these couples? And who do you think is actually going to say yes on decision day? I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.